Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Soapbox Slam, where I get on my soapbox and I slam the things that I see going on. This soapbox is in particular to Candice Owen post again. I feel the need to be contrary to Candice Owen, Bill Walsh, or Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, because I feel like there's no voices that are criticizing them or contrary to theirs or pointing out their flaws, or very few. I have my own stuff to talk about too, and I mean, they will probably never respond to me because I'm just a dumb black nigga. They won't give my time to. But I do have opinions, and you know, I have ideas and thoughts about things that I think matter and are more relevant and more moderate. So having said that, Candice Owens made a post about, what's she talking about? Being black and the black community embracing her position that she's been on for years, and trying to get the black people that black people are now becoming woke, and you know, she feels a vibe that, you know, black people are starting to come around and see things her way, right? I mean, talk about the arrogance and the self-entitlement of her and her voice. Now, having said that, for the most part, I think she takes her perspective a little bit too far. I think that she is a little bit of a robot and brainwashed by her husband, and in order to maintain her family, she has to adopt her husband's perspective and values, which, you know, I do not condemn her for that, because that is the role that she has chosen to take on. I actually feel like her perspectives and things like that are more of a reflection of her husband. And I actually look to her husband about the views that I have that are contrary to her. I feel like they're her expounding her husband, and whether she's grown to these opinions or whatever else. And I don't condemn her all the way. There are things I like about Candice Owens, and there are things that I do not like about Candice Owen. I feel that she is a voice, and she has her own voice, but I think her voice is her husband's voice. And I don't trust her husband. I don't trust his perspective. I don't trust his voice. I don't trust him. I don't trust him for her. I think she's a beautiful woman. I think she is a smart mind. I think that, again, she has wonderful points. And there are a lot of things that I can co-sign that she says. However, having said that, it only goes so far. Because I do not respect her denigration of people who are contrary to her position. I think that is a very weak and disgusting way to negotiate and get along with other people. I think it's a very two things that I think are true tells about people's characters. Take this as you will. It's not unfounded. I'm not just making it out of my ass or whatever else, like taking it out of the air, right? There are linguists and other people, minds that are way smarter than mine. All I can do is read a newspaper article or read a book that suggests these things and reveal that information to you, and that's all I'm doing. But people who talk fast, like Ben Shapiro and Candice Owen, people who talk fast, very, very fast, even in other languages, right? People who talk fast, whether it's in English or in any language, actually are doing two things. Number one, they don't understand the language very well, so they talk fast to get through it, right? They don't have a real command of the language, so they have a need to talk fast to rush through it, right? And the other reason people talk fast is to bully opposition, right? Because if you talk so fast that you're bullying your opposition and you're saying things and it's coming like this, Your opposition doesn't have a chance to absorb the information, process the information, and come back and have a discussion. So the idea of talking fast is an idea to bully your opposition. And it's a very passive aggressive way to intimidate your opposition and bully them. It doesn't allow language and words to flourish and people to process the words that are being said and define and process the words as they're being spoken. This is a tactic that Ben Shapiro and Candice Owen use a lot. They talk fast. People say out-talk you. Sometimes when you watch, the Real Housewives of Atlanta or these housewives shows or anything else, when they're angry, what starts to happen? They start talking really fast and getting loud and everything else, right? It's a form of intimidation. It's a very low-class form of intimidation, and it's a very clear sign of not just sophistication, but it's a very clear sign of, it's truly their own insecurity about the things that they're saying and everything else. So this is a tactic that Candice Owens and Ben Shapiro rely on when they are in heated discussions with people. They, particularly Candice Owen, will get extremely loud and talk over somebody and start talking really fast. Ben Shapiro is extremely controlled and does not get necessarily loud and animated, but he talks even faster when he is trying to bully you into submission and his position being correct. And they, particularly Ben Shapiro, tout and really are proud of their ability to talk fast and bully people this way. They're very proud of this tool, but it is absolutely a tool used to bully people. Okay, so I digress a little bit. I want to get back to the point of why I'm on my soapbox today. I'm on my soapbox today about Candice Owens' post about the black community finally seeing the light and coming to her side and becoming Republicans, and more blacks are becoming Republicans and understanding, and they're no longer ignorant anymore. They're becoming woke and everything else. And I find this to be the most insulting thing that she can say. I don't believe that black people were unaware of the politics of politics, right? I don't think they were unaware. I think years ago, Al Sharpton said, at least we gonna ride the donkey all the way through, because at least we know what we're getting with the donkey when we don't know what we're getting with the elephant, right? The elephant in the room, right? We don't know what we're getting with the elephant in the room, but we're gonna ride this donkey because we know what we can do with that. And that was stated years ago. So I don't think that the African community has been entirely ignorant of what has been going on in society and things like that. The African American community's issues are very different than mainstream society's issues, right? One example that Candice Owens can relate to, because she's such an anti-feminist, is a lot of black women did not want to be working. They have a completely different perspective than white women who wanted to start working, right? These are two contrary positions of feminism that means something totally different for black women than it does for white women. And Candice Owens, in her perspectives, has totally assimilated a white society and has placed all the values of white society on black people, which is where she fails. And her perspectives, because she refused to accept the differences in society and everything else. So she's very educated, and I'm not taking that away from her. What I'm taking away from her and why her perspective is wrong, and this is really what I want to get on, because those conversations are a little more nuanced and require a lot more attention. I got on my soapbox today because the problem is not black people are now becoming woke. Black people have always felt like they could turn to the Democrats and they're starting to realize that they really can't turn to the Democrats. But her option is to turn to the Republicans. And the problem with her option is blacks were Republicans long before the party coups occurred, right? Long when Democrats were Dixiecrats and Democrats were the bigoted racist, before in the 40s, 50s, 30s, 20s, and everything else, and the Republicans were the abolitionists and the equal rights kind of supporters, the environmentalists. Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, who was a Republican, left the Republican Party right about the time these coups started occurring in the parties, left the party to create the Bull Moose Party, is what he wanted to create, the Bull Moose Party. And he actually, anyways, the Republicans were environmentalists, believe it or not, which is actually truer to the Abrahamic religions, right? Take care of the environment, love your environment. That is a philosophy of all three Abrahamic religions, because I make no delineation in Abrahamic religions. A Jew is a Muslim, is a Christian. They are all the fucking same. And all of this trying to delineate, one is different, one is better and everything else. Y'all people who do that, suck my dick. Y'all are problems in society. You are devilish when you do that, because they're all Abrahamic religions. They're all Abrahamic religions. They're all sons of Abraham. So suck my dick. God, I want to, you people who destroy that religion, the Abrahamic religions, and all the sects of the Abrahamic religions. You people are nasty people. You do not understand your God. But aside from that, my point here is, before the coups and the parties started to change their identities, Republicans loved the environment. Republicans supported black rights and everything else. And black people were Republicans. When all of the coups occurred and all of this stuff happened and the identities of these parties changed, the black community no longer supported Republicans, and they went to the Democrats and all of this other stuff, right? So the idea that blacks as a bloc have gone with society in America, have been Republicans and have been Democrats, okay? And we're in a crossroads again, where blacks are looking for their identity and which party is going to negotiate with the black community on what they need. Now, this is my position, and this is why Candice Owens is wrong, because Candice Owen is a sheep. She is a blind follower to the Republican Party. Blind follower. She is going to wave the flag wholeheartedly and march for the Republicans. She is a blind sheep. She is not, where she fails in her sophistication and where she fails in her intelligence is she abandoned the Democratic Party, which she was a member of in high school. She couldn't vote, but was a very big liberal in high school and everything else, from her own words and other people who talked about her. I'm not saying anything that she hasn't expounded herself, right? I mean, I'm not making this up or anything else. She moved her political positions once she got married and as she got older, which is why I point to her husband for the extremism that she expounds. And I'm not saying all of her ideas are wrong. But what I am saying is, she is a black woman who's married to a white man and has biracial children. And her position, in my opinion, ought to be as an independent if she cares about the black people. Now, if she wants to completely assimilate into white society and operate out of white society and have that battle, well, that's fine. I mean, that's a part of America. I don't condemn her for that. Some people might, like Dr. Umar, who I think is right in a lot of ways, but wrong in a lot of ways. I'd like to have a conversation with Dr. Umar, because while I support you, black brother, we got some issues, and I want to knock you upside the head, Mr. Smart Man, because you got some problems too, mister. You think your shit don't stink, but your shit is foul too. You fail, and you are just as bad as Candice Owens. You're just on the other side of it. The point I'm trying to make here, and why I'm on my soapbox about Candice Owens, she got all happy about the fact that, oh, black people are she's making headlines and the source and the vibe because, you know, black people are starting to come around to her. And then they're seeing it through her eyes and everything else. No. And any black person who is blindly a Republican, blindly, meaning they're just going to wave the Republican flag and tout the Republican flag, you are just as bad as the Democrats who are doing the same thing. I believe in my heart of hearts, if I were to sit down with Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and the Black Panther Party, they all would say what I'm saying right now. The black vote needs to be an independent vote that negotiates at every election for what it needs in order to sway the election one way or another. It would make us the most powerful voting bloc in this country. We should have no allegiance to any party. Our allegiance should be to our people, and as a monolithic group, vote to sway an election one way or another, to be Democratic, or we can be the wishiest-washiest voters, but it's not wishy-washy. But to them, it would be the wishiest-washies because we are the most unpredictable voting bloc, which gives us the most power to negotiate for what we need in our communities for our own accelerated advancement. That is how we should be voting, as an independent bloc. We cannot. Our numbers are too small for half of us to be Republican and half of us to be Democrat. That is the divide and conquer principle that will separate our power. And Candice Owen has fell into the trap of being on the right, and Chad Jeffries has fallen in the trap of being on the left. All these people are doing is pulling the black votes apart. Half of us over here and half of us over there. These people, these correspondents who are on Fox News, who are expounding everything that the far right wants to say. I can't remember all their names right now, and I'll make a list of this and on my green screen when I really have the confidence. This is more, the truth of the matter is I've been so comfortable in my truck having these conversations that I lack the confidence to get in front of my green screen and start the start the process of showing all the receipts with the green screen and everything else. I have green screens. I have a studio here in Illinois, and I have a studio in Texas, and I failed to use them properly. That's about my own confidence. But aside from that, I will send receipts of these other Republican black people, Tim Scott. All these people are doing is dividing the African-American votes. And what I am trying to do with Soapbox Slam and everything else my positions and everything else, is I am trying to encourage black people to come to a common ground. The NAACP used to do this, and I don't know where they failed. Maybe, I don't know how they've been infiltrated. I haven't figured that part out yet. But the bottom line is, African-Americans have failed to unify their stuff. These are things that were very unified before integration. And I have comments about integration and segregation that one of these days I'll get on my soapbox and talk about those things. But before integration, there was a common goal. And even though there was, we just ended Black History Month, and even though there were conservative blacks and liberal blacks, there was still a meeting. I mean, Dr. King and Malcolm X did meet together. They did come to a common ground on what their goal was. Part of the reason why they were assassinated so quickly was because they were starting to unify. That is the biggest threat. People have to, I plead, and all of my white friends and my white family and everything else, I'm sorry if I offend you with this. It's not my intention. But I plead with the African-American community to figure out a way for us to vote monolithically, to figure out a way for us to come up with, if we have to poll before the nationwide polls, if we have to start employing our own statisticians and our own workers through the NAACP and everything else, if we have to start employing our own people to go into our own communities and come up with the common grounds make lists of what it is that we need and what it is that we're fighting for, if we need to get out a grassroots kind of agenda to find out the common grounds and then unify our voting bloc to negotiate during election times locally and nationally in order to get our upward mobility and get what we need, then that's what needs to be done in order for us to succeed, because we are constantly being left behind because of the division within our own people. That is what we need to fix. And our leaders like Chad Jeffries and our leaders like Candice Owen, because Candice Owen, you are a leader. You have a voice and you make phenomenal points. But you have gone so far right in dismissing the possibilities of differences and trying to force everyone into your perspective that you fail to use your voice in a way to unify, which is what I think you're best suited for. You're not suited for this divisiveness that is the politics of today. My heart to you, Candice Owens, my message, which was sent to me to tell you, is that your voice needs to be used to bring the black people to the round table and come up with our parameters, our boundaries, help negotiate what our boundaries are so that we can negotiate during election times for what we need. If you choose to help the black community, if you choose to champion the black cause, if you choose to completely assimilate into white society, American society, and assimilate as that only, then continue on the path that you're on. My goal with Soapbox Slam and my goal as a voice is not to just expound and fight for black causes, although that is my primary concern. I do have a serious concern for that and a serious desire to try to fix those issues. But I also have a desire to fix American society, because we are African Americans. We are here. And I do believe we are Americans. And I do believe that we are a part of the original Americans who were here. And I believe that the original white Americans who settled here and the original black Americans who were enslaved here, we need to be the ones to develop the identity of America, which means white people, you need to start relying on us black people to get the language issues in line and get the immigration issues in line. You need to start turning to us to say, hey, we made y'all assimilate. Come on now. Come on. Let's get it together so we can get this American identity together, right? All I'm saying is that we're the ones who have been here the longest, as long as you guys have been here. If not, some of us might even been longer. Okay? And instead of condemning us for being different and hating us because of that old antiquated idea of race, we need to be the ones to align. Whites need to be the traditional old white people need to start realizing that if they want to save America, you really want to save America, then you come to the blacks. We'll help you save it, as we always have. The blacks have always helped y'all save America. All the way down the line. We are the ones who have always helped you guys save America. Always. Even as slaves. We are the ones that have helped you be America. Whether it was on our backs with your wealth, whether it's creating the altruistic values of the Constitution, we are the embodiment. And until you recognize that, white people, that you need us, till you recognize what do you need us for, to keep your asses in line, keep your asses true, keep your asses, until you start using us the way we are designed to be used, it's gonna be all hell in a hay basket. I don't even know what the expression is, but anyways, I got on my soapbox to condemn Candice Owens on her concept or idea that all of a sudden black people are coming around to her perspective. And if there are black people rushing to the Republican Party, I'm going to tell you to please stop. I'm not telling you to stay with the Democrats, because I have the Democrats like this, but the Republicans like that too. My perspective, and where Candice Owens gets it wrong, because she's just another sheep following a different party. It doesn't matter if you're still a sheep following a party. Our power lies, our true power lies in our unification and becoming a monolithic vote. And the way that we can achieve that, now I'm not telling all black people we have to be alike. What I'm saying is what we have to master is our ability to negotiate for what we need, what we see as the need for us as a group. Whether we believe Christianity, or whether we believe in omnism, or whether we don't believe at all. Whether whatever our opinions are as black people in society, there's still something that unifies us as black Americans. And we need to focus on that and stop the division. We don't need to be, we don't need to be a Republican or Democrat. We can actually be, without the independent party as it is today, we can actually be our own independent party within this country. We can be, there could be three parties. There could be three parties because of our existence in this country. Our slavery, being here since the beginning of time, and everything else. We can be a three-party system, and that third party be the black independent vote. Because like I said, as a monolithic vote, we can sway. We can sway every election locally, nationally, any way. If we were able to come up with a common idea and goal. And to be honest with you, my opinion about that, we would probably only have to be that way for one generation, possibly two at most, as an independent bloc. And then we could delineate into society as the two-party system. But we missed a step. We missed a step as a group. And that is why we are in the problems that we are as a black census, right? That is why we have our problems still. And that is, you know, and if you look at what the other groups that have succeeded in this country, the Asian groups, monolith vote, monolith negotiate for what they want, and they become integrated much better. The Jewish community, monolith vote, finally integrate in society and delineate on each side. So we have failed to take that step. I wouldn't say that we were failed. I would say assertive efforts were made to prevent us from doing that. And I think we are smarter now and better prepared to take that on and start advocating and negotiating for what we need to be upwardly mobile, and upwardly mobile in a very rapid, fast way. Because the more and more this technology keeps coming through, the further and further we're going to get left behind. So we really, really, really need the unification in our vote. That's where Candice Owens is wrong, and that's what I'm on my soapbox about. Have a phenomenal day. Do an act of kindness for somebody. Try and be nice to people. Do your best to be kind.